so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free.
Hello everyone and welcome back yet again to the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast, brought to you as always by the GSMC Sports Network. I hope you guys are enjoying the show, but we're going to take a little bit of a hiatus from looking at wide receivers and transition to the running back position, because this guy is truly a fantasy enigma. His speed and abilities in the open field truly make him an option that you can't turn away from, truly tantalizing. But does that speed factor into how he might have a mighty downfall this year? And so let's just jump right into the fantasy player profile of Raheem Mostert. Now, Raheem Mostert is a really interesting running back because this is his age 33 season, if you can believe it. And in a Miami Dolphins offense that predicates itself on outpacing every single opposing defense they face, having a guy like Raheem Mostert seems to be a lot more valuable than people think, because not just having speed at the wide receiver position, but making you honest in the run game can really be an effective way to truly make the Miami Dolphins not just playoff contenders, but Super Bowl contenders. And of course, Tua has to elevate his game as well, but that's a conversation for another day. But the main caveat, the main kind of thing that's disconnecting me from truly saying that Raheem Mostert is here to stay is not just age, but the fact that he might just be too speedy. And it sounds cliche to say that, but think about the many different ways that Miami can take advantage of what they have at their disposal. You have one of the best fast receivers in NFL history, in my opinion, in Tyreek Hill. You have a solid wide receiver too in Jalen Waddle, who's a savvy route runner. And you have a quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, who is starting to get a little bit more comfortable in this league. And so, will speed at the running back position really make you quote-unquote better, or will it just make you more appealing? And that's kind of the thing that I'll try to dissect as we look over Raheem Mostert. Throughout his career, he's garnered 649.1 fantasy points. Last year, of course, was his best year. 242.7 fantasy points, and of course, is the 18 touchdowns, led the league amongst all running backs, 10th in rush yards with 1,012. He was, in fact, the running back 4 in fantasy, so as you can see, he was high up there in terms of yards and touchdowns, so that's what resulted from it. But there are some areas where he might be a little bit more iffy than you might think. 17th in yards per touch, 6th in explosive run rate, 11th in missed tackles force. Next year, much like me, the fantasy odds are kind of cautioning people and warning people about what might happen with Raheem Mostert. 817 yards, 9 TDs, 175 receiving yards, and 2 TDs for a total of 169.4 points. So a little bit less lofty than last year. And so I kind of want to get more into this point of being too speedy, because the Miami Dolphins last year, their downfall really was kind of due to Tua, but it was also due to the fact that a lot of opposing defenses started to not necessarily care about how Miami beat them, and mainly started to focus in on what can we take away that really makes sense in terms of stopping what the Miami Dolphins offense can do. And that turned out to be the run game, because he placed a lot of weight onto his shoulders, and as a result, he faced a lot more pressure, and as a result, the Dolphins kind of collapsed around him. You can also chalk up the defense, but at least on the offensive side of the ball, that's what really caught my attention, because the one thing you seem to understand as an opposing defense is the fact that if you take away the run game, maybe all the pressure on Tua builds up enough for you to get home to him. And so that's why there's seemingly a kind of rift between me saying Raheem Mostert's confidently going to be in that RB1 discussion and me confidently saying that it's going to be a downfall, because the numbers jump out and stats ultimately don't lie as much as people say. But right now, I'm looking at the fantasy odds and they tell a different story. And not for nothing, but they also have Devon Achane, who had another breakout season, who I really think is the better running back. And it kind of feels weird to say because it was his rookie season last year. But in terms of what I saw on the field from Devon Achane, it was that he ran not just considering the fact that he was fast, the fact that he had power, the fact that he had explosivity, the fact that he trusted himself to gain as many yards as possible, and the fact that at such a young age, he understood his place in the Miami offense, but really made the most of it because of all the traits he brought to this offense. I'm not saying that Raheem Mostert doesn't bring the exact same traits. It's not the debate I want arising. It's the fact that Devon Achane's way of going about it may be more appealing. And he is the younger option at the position. And so, when I look at Raheem Mostert, a guy who's in his age 33 season, who predicates himself on speed, and speed alone, in an offense that dominates through speed. It just seems weird to me that people might overvalue him just because of speed. And what I look for in a running back certainly is yards, but they're important yards. You can't make your money just off of 30 to 40 yard runs. You establish yourself as a solid running back by doing both. You get the 5 to 6 to 10 yard runs, you get the 30 to 40 yard runs, and then what determines whether you're good or not is how many of those 30 or 40 yard runs go to the end zone. And Raheem Mostert definitely has the touchdowns, he definitely has the yards, but does he have the same appeal as Devon Achane? And at this moment in his career, it's difficult for me to say confidently that that's the case. Because right now, I'm looking at the Dolphins' offense and wanting to see some level of consistency where Tua's comfortable throwing the football. The receivers are getting separation, not just Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And there's an establishment of who is going to take over the backfield. And right now, while Raheem Mostert definitely has the stats to back him up, he doesn't necessarily have A, the age, or B, the appealing kind of aura about him that says, I'm going to maintain what I just did last year. The fact that his career year came in an age 32 season is also another one of concern. I think that for what it's worth, last year I think the Dolphins got the most out of him that they're going to get. And so, who knows what the future of Raheem Mostert's really going to look like. But at this moment in time, I'm sitting back saying, do I really want to place my fantasy stock in RB1 who's not going to play as much as expected, is just going to run for running's sake and not pick a guy who can give me that balance at the position? Because right now, if I were someone who's looking at running backs, I would immediately pick up Devon Achane. I wouldn't pick up Raheem Mostert this time. I would pick up Devon Achane because he's going to be the Dolphins starting running back, and that's what matters, the future. You have to look ahead in terms of fantasy to what the future holds. And also, he's just more savvy at the position. I know it's weird to say that about a young rookie, but Devon Achane, there just seems to be more depth to what he brings. There seems to be more nuance to what he brings, more grace notes to what he brings to the Dolphins. And balance is the word I'm really looking for, because the Miami Dolphins are just boom, boom, boom. We just want to go up and down the field at our will. Balance is what's important. And Raheem Mostert is speed, and sometimes that's good, sometimes that's enough to win you football games. But balance is what you need to sustain your offensive system, and more importantly, have it evolve. And I really think that Mike McDaniels is going to see that and be like, okay, Tua's kind of settling in. We had a little bit of success. We kind of fell apart there at the end. But I'm looking at my two running backs right now. I'm looking at my man Raheem. I'm looking at my guy Devon Achane. Raheem definitely has the production. But does he have what I want to kind of take the pressure off everything revolving around Tua and him getting the ball to his receivers accurately? And I think the answer to that is no. Raheem Mostert, for all intents and purposes, can prove me wrong, because there's a way to make a two running back system work in Miami. It just has to happen in a way that might see him not produce as many yards. But I think Devon Achane, as of right now, is more certain to be an RB1 in the near future than Raheem Mostert, and this season was kind of an anomaly for him. But that would just about do it for this segment. Make of that Raheem Mostert breakdown what you will. Coming next, we switch back to the wide receiver position with a semi-quasi wide receiver one. We don't necessarily know yet, but he definitely is someone that I think is primed for a breakout year. Tune in to the next segment to find out exactly who I'm talking about. Be right back.